Tired of the cold and shoveling snow? Same. This year, make an easy escape from winter by switching to S&T Bank. With online and mobile banking, you're always in control. Set savings goals, track your budget, and transfer funds faster than you can say, "Pina colada, please." With convenient locations and ATMs, we'll make planning your next tropical trip a breeze. Stop by your local S&T branch, visit stbank.com, or call 800-325-2265. Banking made easy so you can spend more time in the sun. S&T Bank, member FDIC.
Drafted in the 7th round of the 2002 NFL Draft, a BYU Cougar, but we all know him now as the Beard, but I just remember him as Diesel back in the day. It is the one, the only, Brett Keisel on the lines. How are we doing, Dees?
Woo! Woo, woo, woo! What's up, boys? Great intro, Max. Thank you. You can be my wrestling intro guy anytime.
Well, I also want to be on ringside too. I want to be that guy that just randomly has the belt in his hand, is holding it, showing it off, and then I just crack a guy over the head and then toss you 2 beers in the ring after you win. I want to be that guy too. Can I be that guy as well?
Well, that sounds just like our friendship. I mean, we've always done that for each other.
That is business as usual for us, Keys. I want to thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it. And, in honor of, the 20th anniversary of that immortal moment for you and I and our teammates, where we got etched in history literally on the side of a trophy. Our names reside there. Just kind of wanted to talk about just some of the memories of that year of the experience and, kind of highlight that, since obviously apropos that is Super Bowl week and there's a Seattle Seahawks team that's playing in that game. Of course, not against us. We thought it'd be us. But yeah, I mean, when we kind of look back on the year, on that season, I mean, so many highs, so many lows there, but I mean, an incredible run that we made. I mean, what's one of the first thing that kind of sticks out in your mind when I say Super Bowl 40 season? What comes to Brett Kiesel's mind first?
Well, the first thing for me is, I think the year before, we went 15-1, and that was an unbelievable run. That is still a Pittsburgh Steelers record for most wins in a season. And so we were feeling pretty good about ourselves going into 2005. And I just remember going midway through that year, and we got in a slump in November, and I think we lost 3 in a row, with the last one being Cincinnati at home. Mm-hmm. And I remember, someone was disgracing our towel, and I never forget that meeting on Monday morning, because I was sitting in the front row, and Coach Coward kicks the door in, comes screaming in there, and I got sprayed with spit, Coward spit, because he has a tendency to do that sometimes. And I'll never forget that meeting when he challenged us and really made us grade ourselves and focus on, were we doing everything we could for the team? How did we go from 15-1, to about to be out of the playoffs? And just that run we made going on the road and winning all those games, and of course, ending in Detroit was just an amazing, amazing time to be a Steeler.
So I do want to start, Brad. By the way, thanks very much for coming on. Really appreciate it, and can't wait to hear your recollections of it. But I want to start at the end when that journey comes to its conclusion, and there you are, and all the confetti's coming down, and you thought it was going to be that 15-1 season, and just the miraculous run you guys went on. What's it like to know that you're a Super Bowl champion?
The mountaintop is glorious, Rob. It is glorious, and when you're sitting up there and you cannot go higher, you were at the ceiling. and you're the champion of the world that's never going to be taken away. You're going to be etched in history forever. And there's not really a feeling that can describe that euphoria that you feel in that moment, because so much goes into it, so much work, fighting through injuries, fighting through ups, fighting through downs. And, to make it all the way, especially to make history the way we did, to be the first 6 seed, to go on the road all the way through playoffs and beat the top 3 offenses in the National Football League, and the best teams in the league. And, to be up there on top, I'll never forget going in the locker room after the game and after we hug and everything, and you're in there and, guys are smoking cigars. We're putting our Super Bowl robes on. And I looked over at Sean Morey, who, because at the time I was running down on kickoff and with Sean Morey and James Harrison and Clint Crewalt and Cheaty Bang Bang. And we were, a special teams tight group. And I looked at them and I said, man, this is the greatest feeling ever to be on the mountaintop.
And it's funny, you mentioned that. I think I still have, I'm going to have to dig it up. I still got the special team shirt that was made. That's also the other thing I appreciate about the city of Pittsburgh, right? They highlight everybody. And, you think about, there was a shirt, there was a Pittsburgh specialty. Just think about that, because you had Papa Doc as our punter, right? Chris Gardocki. Jay Reed was our kicker. And Schneck, Schneckers there was our long snapper. But on our kickoff coverage unit, you had what you said. Sean Morey was like the human missile. You had you. Yeah. You had Debo, but back when he was just James Harrison, guy who had just made, barely made the squad. It was the backup to the backup. And you talk about Clint Crewalt, a.k.a. Buddy Lee Dungaree, can't bust him. And then Cheaty Iwoma, who's now one of our West Coast scouts. I mean, it was just, our group it was so unique, man. It was so unique that you had this type of collection of humans, and all of us were very diverse human beings. We will also say that. You had some very, very fun characters, and Sean Morey still to this day, still one of the most hilarious dudes, because that dry humor, he just come and he was so serious about everything that he did. but Keys, like you said, I'm the same way, right? And I was telling Rob this. To talk about the 2005 season, you can't help but talk about what happened the year before. Those two are inextricably laced together because of just how high and how good we were that year. And for it to come short the way that it did in the AFC Championship game against New England, it brought a certain chip on our shoulder where we had an expectation of ourselves, and we viewed ourselves a lot differently than everybody else viewed us, right? And to be challenged that week and to have that meeting before Chicago, and, of course, one of the most vivid memories that sticks out to me is that Chicago game. One, because the first time I ever played in snow, because this boy's from Florida, and I waited almost 2 years before I ever got to play in snow in Pittsburgh, right? Because remember, it was too cold to snow on that AFC Championship game. It was just freezing, and it felt like the air stood still, but no snow. I was hoping that was going to be my snow game, but it wasn't. But we get to Chicago, and knowing what it was to be pinned against your wall and going up against a very good offense in Chicago and a very stout defense led by Brian Urlacher, a.k.a. Train Tracks, because of what Bussy did to him. Just kind of talk about the defensive side of the ball, the mentality going into that Chicago game in that defensive side of the huddle, because I think that's something that people don't really get to hear that much is what's your mentality? I mean, I've talked about the offensive side and what we had to do and what we were doing and, what Bussy meant to us. But defensively, I mean, you guys were playing at a high level, and I felt like a lot of that, came down to some misfires on our part throughout that season. But defensively, what was the mentality in that Chicago game?
Well, it's one of my favorite things about sports is you never really know how you're going to react or the way you're going to respond unless your back is to the wall. And, we all knew our back was to the wall. We had no room for error. And Chicago was one of the best teams in the league. They had a really good defense. Their offense was moving the ball all over the place. I forget their record at the time coming in, but, we knew it was going to be a tough task. And I love that quote Mike Logan gives, with Jerome running people over and skipping out and getting into open field, that he's got his snow tires on. And I think that was kind of how that game was for all of us. We all had our snow tires on, and we knew what type of game it was going to be. I mean, I remember being so fired up for that opening kickoff. I mean, I think I ran down and smoked somebody pretty good on the first kickoff, and I was so proud. Oh, geez. Are you guys there?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
we're still here.
we're here. We're still here.
I was just so proud to, get things going, and it was like, you are not going to mess with us today, Bears. We're going to take you Bears out.
That I believe. Sorry. Go ahead, Brett. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it was just a great. Everyone remembers that game, and the staple on it is like what Max said, Jerome running over Urlacher and several others in the end zone, and Alan Faneca right on his back, pushing him in there, and just the fight that it took to get there, and then the fight it took to go to Cincinnati, who beat us at home recently before that, and wipe their shoes with our towel, and then go up to Indy, and that game was crazy. I mean, every single game had max drama, kind of, except Denver, where we just smashed them from the get-go.
Yeah.
So while you're on, by the way, that Chicago game was Jerome's last 100-yard game when he and he did it in style. Trucking Urlacher in that game. Keys, was there a moment in that season, in that run, in which you felt like it was inevitable? That's a tough question because it always feels inevitable after the fact. I'm sure at 15-1 it felt inevitable you're going to win the Super Bowl. But was there a moment where you just felt, I don't know, a team camaraderie, some sort of force that made you think this is going to happen, this is destiny, this is whatever it is? Or do you not feel that until you're down underneath the confetti and gazing up at the Lombardi Trophy?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, for me, probably after that Chicago game and how our team came together and what you could see we were capable of at all three phases, and kind of knowing in the back of our minds how good we were the year before. I mean, we had really stout lines at that time, and I'm not just trying to pat us all on the back, but our offensive line was super stout, our defensive line was super stout, and I really think that going into January ball and February, it comes down to your boys in the trenches, and if they're solid, and how good of earth movers are they? How good are they at stopping the run? And I really think that we were coming in relatively healthy into those playoff runs, and I don't think you ever kind of go, oh, this is it, especially after being 15-1. We all were just excited for the next challenge, and that we were still in the running for the Lombardi and just marching. It was kind of like those big mules, that have the blinders on the side. We just had blinders on and were tunnel visioned on what we needed to do and how we were going to do it.
No, you're absolutely right, Keisel. And Rob, I'll answer this question as well. I think the Detroit game was the game where it kind of put everything in focus for me because, I was that was Jerome's last home game. We all knew, and it was against his hometown team, right? It was like you felt like this was like a foreshadowing, like Jerome and Detroit. However that played out in your mind, you kind of was like, wow. And then we have that victory, and our offense was, it wasn't this high flying passing offense like you saw kind of in the second half of Ben's career. We were a grinded out. We were tough mutters, and we would take a 4-minute offense and make it 6 minutes to make sure our defense was fresh at the end of games. And like you said, and I mean, our special teams was tough nosed, and all three phases we were just locked in. And I think something, Brett, that kind of, I think people kind of talk about it kind of in passing, but I want you to kind of talk about it a little bit more and intimate on it. Just how close our squad was. Like, I mean, we did everything together. I mean, I know a lot of guys, married significant others, but I mean, we hung out a lot. Even though we had work time, we never wanted to leave each other's side. It felt like, when I think about like, especially our closest of teams, like we kicked it in the locker room. Like we would stay in the locker room till late at night, right? Because we just wanted to be around each other and just talk about kind of that special bond and seeing that and how you look back on it and say, man, that might have been it, right? That was a special sauce, was how close we were as teammates, all 53 plus, right? It was special.
The unique part about, and I always say life's about timing, and I'm so grateful that the timing rolled out where we were all together in the same room. And the best part was how close we were and how much we enjoyed working together, and how much we enjoyed the process together and how much we held each other accountable. It's really unique to have, I think, in professional sports, the brotherhood and the leadership that you have in the professional locker room like that. But coming in, it's like Alan Faneca's, you go out to Billy's for wing night, and we were always at someone's place, like doing something. And not only that, but getting in the community for one another and going to each other's charity events and supporting each other off the field. And you really get to know each other's families because you're supporting each other at their different events throughout the year. And so having a different relationship like that, where you love the guy next to you, you love competing with the guy next to you, you never want to let them down. You will do anything to win with them. And, I think that was something that was really special with our teams. And, I feel so lucky to have been a part of something like that in the professional environment, because it's not like that everywhere else. There's not going to be guys staying later after practice, taking reps, hitting the sled with you and showing you how to extend and roll your hips and, all the things that you need to do to be a great player that really only a veteran that's been in it can teach you. So to have that type of leadership and togetherness was definitely a catalyst for being a world champion.
Our special guest is Brett Keisel. Final question for you, Brett, and you and Max have alluded to this, but it clearly I'm going to let you answer the question, but just talking to players in really all sports, but I think especially football, like a lot of guys don't miss the game. What they miss is what you're alluding to. And if you talk to players, like I've done a lot of interviews with the 79 Pirates, for example, they love talking about the camaraderie, that bond that exists. For them, it's, you're talking about almost 50 years later. And for you guys, that 20 years later, that bond, that's what they seem to miss. Is that what you miss the most, the camaraderie of the teammates and hanging out with the guys more than the game? I mean, or is it both? How would you categorize it?
It's definitely my teammates. We were spoiled that we got to go live on the edge like we did there and do the things we got to do together and go through those those battle moments together where you really find a lot out about someone, like I said, when their back's against the wall and when they're fighting. And you see what their work looks like through the week. You see what the preparation looks like. You see them working out in the weight room. You see them taking care of their body. You see them staying later watching film, or you get together with each other watching film, and you go over stuff together about the game rather than the coaches kind of grinding it into you, and there's just a different level of togetherness and unity that happens when you get a group like that. And when it's over, it's the hardest part because, you spend so much time together and you bleed together and you're sore together and you're fighting together that when it's over, it's like the rug gets swept out from underneath you. But fortunately, when you're so close like that, you keep in touch with each other and, we FaceTime each other and talk to each other. And we're definitely a brotherhood. It isn't just speaking about it. It's like real, and we will be that for each other for the rest of our lives, which how cool is it to have that with your work, someone you work with or your peer at work. And so I just feel really fortunate that we not only had the team, but we had Hall of Fame leadership, Hall of Fame coaches that had been there, done that, guys, that kind of trickled into us all this knowledge of how to be this way and how to be successful this way. So it's one of those things that, when you're in it, you can probably think about how lucky you have it or how fortunate you are to have it. But when 20 years down the road now, it's like, man, that was legendary.
Yeah, it was.
It absolutely was.
Brett Keisel has been our special guest. Thank you so much for spending time with us. It's great to see you around the community, and it's great to hear you coming on with us in the locker room. Really, really appreciate your time.
Well,
Thanks,
thank you,
Deez.
guys. I really enjoyed listening to you guys this year. You guys are a great team. You just keep it up, Rob. You're still in the phase getting into our group, but you're on your way. You just keep grinding. But
I will, man. I got a great partner.
You do. Max is the all-time best. And,
Yep.
I really enjoyed listening to you guys this year and hearing your excitement with the game. And so you keep it up. We love you guys, too.
Brett, thank you so much, man.
Love
That's
you,
awesome.
Love you, Deez, man. Thanks. Appreciate everything, bud.
Brett Keisel, looking back
boys,
at.
have a good day.
Thanks, you too, Brett, helping us look back at the 20th anniversary of the Steelers Super Bowl championship victory, Super Bowl 40 over the Seattle Seahawks.
Tired of the cold and shoveling snow? Same. This year, make an easy escape from winter by switching to S&T Bank. With online and mobile banking, you are always in control. Set savings goals, track your budget, and transfer funds faster than you can say, "Pina colada, please." With convenient locations and ATMs, we'll make planning your next tropical trip a breeze. Stop by your local S&T branch, visit stbank.com, or call 800-325-2265. Banking made easy so you can spend more time in the sun. S&T Bank, member FDIC.